Baby Hollie. Baby Hollie is the missing child of Tina Lynn Clouse and Harold Clouse Jr. This is a story I covered around the end of 2021. We have a pretty incredible update, but rather than recap, I will just repeat the previous episode and then offer the update afterwards. The Houston John and Jane Doe, identified as Harold Dean Clouse and Tina Clouse. In 1980, 21-year-old Harold Dean Clouse and his 17-year-old wife Tina were married and living in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, with their young 1-year-old daughter named Hollie. It was at this time they decided to move to Texas so that Dean could make a living as a carpenter. The young family headed out to the future of promise, and they just seemed to disappear. His worried family eventually received a call that same year from a group of women who said that they had Dean's car. They offered to deliver it back to the family for a price, $1,000. When the women arrived, they were dressed in some sort of religious robes, and they told Dean's family that the couple and their child had joined a religious cult and would never be heard from again, and they weren't. But they also weren't in any sort of a cult. Instead, unbeknownst to the family, the couple was found in January of 1981 in Texas, having been buried in a shallow grave just 2 months before. Dean had been beaten and bound, gagged, while Tina was strangled. The couple was also found near another body, that of a teen named Michelle Angela Garvey. Michelle was identified in 2014, thanks to a tip that came into the online forum Web Sleuths. Their location has been referred to as being part of the Texas killing fields. 30 people were found buried within the same general area. In 2021, an Indianapolis-based media company named Audio Chuck funded the genetic research for this case, working with a company named Identity Finders. This went faster than normal, and they quickly identified Dean within 10 days of starting to build his tree. His family quickly asked about his wife, and with that, the identity of the female Jane Doe found with him was also identified. Dean's mother told them that she saw someone on the freeway once who passed her and looked like her son. She desperately wanted to believe he was out there alive, and she was always looking for him, telling herself that he's out there somewhere, and hoping that he would ring her bell one day and say, "Hey, Mom." These stories always break my heart a little bit, because so many times they really want to believe they're still alive out there. And I can't imagine living with that is easy, the not knowing. As sad as this story is, there's a possibility there could be something good. Hollie Marie Clouse may still be alive. If she is, she would be a 41-year-old woman. They are concentrating on trying to find Hollie. Given her young age, it's entirely possible somebody raised her. There's no question that she was not found in those graves. The family and authorities desperately want people to come forward on this. The woman that delivered the car likely knew the owner wasn't coming back, and essentially selling the car back to his family also created a false story about why the couple was missing. It's in part why they were able to keep this ruse up for so long. Their direct involvement was likely why the couple was never reported missing, which only has the purpose of hiding what happened to the Clouse family. So likely they were in some way involved. Anyone with any information, please call the number on your screen. Harold Dean Clouse and Tina Clouse went unidentified for 41 years. Hollie Clouse's age seems to differ a little by article, but she would be around 41 or 42 years old today. Anyone who thinks they may be Hollie or know where she is should also contact that number. It's a rare glimmer of light in a dark story. I will leave you with Dean's sister's words. I want to know who did this, who killed them, and why. I want to find Hollie. I need to know if my niece had a good life, if she was abused, if she's okay. I'm sure that I, as well as anyone who followed this, was desperate to believe that Hollie is alive, and the absence of finding her in the grave with her parents meant she might have survived. The family of Tina and Harold held out hope that they would one day learn Hollie's fate. Their prayers were answered quicker than I think anyone had hoped for. The same process of genetic genealogy that gave Tina and Dean their names back did the same for their daughter Hollie 42 years later. Baby Hollie did survive, and she's now a mother of 5 children of her own. and she's also a grandmother who is living currently in Oklahoma. Hollie's adoptive parents are not in any way a suspect in this case, and they instead gave Hollie the life she deserved despite her original circumstance. I know I personally believe the claim that Tina and Dean was a complete fabrication made by the killers to take advantage of and use the ruse just to make money by selling Dean's car back to his family. However, it's pretty clear now that I was wrong. The cult did, in fact, exist in some form, though obviously that does not mean Dean and Tina joined anything. It's impossible to know if it is this group that took the lives of the Clouses, or if they were somehow given possession of both Hollie Clouse and the car after the fact, by someone who was attempting to cover up their crime. It's my opinion, without any knowledge outside of what's been reported here, because of comments in the original video, that I think they had to be involved. The entire misdirection about the return of the car provided a red herring that helped the killer. It deflected, or at least tried to, any family members who were looking for Dean or Tina. By the time the family was approached with the car, the Clouses were most certainly deceased. Whatever the circumstances were leading to the car and baby Hollie, it turns out that Hollie was eventually dropped off at a church in Arizona by two women wearing white robes. They were also walking around barefoot. They reportedly told church officials that they were members of a nomadic religious group that only ate vegetables and refused to use leather products. When they gave up Hollie, they claimed to have given up a baby once before, that time at a laundromat, which is odd. The group had been seen traveling through Arizona and California, and possibly Texas at the time. And of course, Dean and Hollie were from Texas. In January, detectives launched Hope for Hollie, a project with a far-reaching goal: to offer free DNA testing and help identify those with uncertain childhoods, helping those individuals to find their parents, with the funds being provided through crowdfunding. It's unclear if Hollie contacted the group or if she and her children had provided their DNA to the Ancestry Company and had uploaded it into GEDmatch. It was Othram Labs that was able to locate and identify Hollie in June of 2022. 42-year-old Hollie has now been in contact with her extended family, and she's finally getting to know them. Hollie's grandmother, Donna, would say publicly, "I prayed for more than 40 years for answers, and the Lord has revealed some of it. We have found Hollie." Hollie's aunt, Cheryl Clouse, said in a statement that she has now met her niece for the first time, saying it is such a blessing to be reassured that she is all right and that she had a good life. Sherry Lynn Green said she believed her sister, Tina, is resting in peace, knowing that Hollie is reuniting with her family. The Lynn and Clouse families finally have Hollie back in their lives. It took far too long, but against all odds, they now have answers to the most important questions. But of course, it still leaves who caused this, and a desire to see the guilty person punished. If you have any idea at all who did this, please call the number on your screen. Even if you think you have some information about the nomadic group, any information at all might help. Tina Clouse would be a 59-year-old great-grandmother had she been allowed to live. Dean would be a 62-year-old great-grandfather. They instead lost their lives at the ages of 17 and 20, as they set out to find work for Dean in hopes of giving Hollie a better life. Thankfully, Hollie still got that life. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Take care of yourselves and each other.